Good evening. I want to talk to y'all tonight about what's been going on in the Bay Area, in San Francisco Bay Area, specifically Oakland, but it's nothing that's relegated just to Oakland. This is really a phenomenon that is happening widespread across our country. We are witnessing right now the deterioration of humankind psyche, the consciousness. And it's very imperative what I'm going to say because I'm at the point where I do not care how many times people try to tell me, accept it. This is just the way of the world. This is just how things are. This is just reality. I literally refuse to accept that and I rebuke that with every fiber of my being, with all of my cellular matter. I reject that because I know that we are designed by God, which means that when we are born, we have God consciousness in us. That is our true form. So, anyway, the short of the long is I was on my way to work Friday morning. I'm on my way to work and I'm at a red light. I'm at the longest red light in Oakland. Okay, it never changes to green. And all of a sudden, I hear the voice of a woman screaming at the top of her lungs. I work in the mental health field. So this literally sounded like someone who was having a psychotic breakdown. So I look and I'm trying to locate where is this voice coming from. And I find a young woman, beautiful young woman, who is, dressed well. She's at the bus stop. It's like an island, right? It's like an island bus stop. These are the new bus stops that were built when Libby Schaff was in office. So anyway, she's at the island and she's screaming and she's like walking away from someone or something. And her fists are balled up. And I'm just like, okay, this is weird. And I'm noticing that like tears are pouring from her eyes. And I'm just like, okay, let me just assess because right now I'm only seeing her. I'm only noticing her. So then a few, maybe 30 seconds or a minute pass by, and then a young man approaches her and he gets this, like this in her face. And his fists are balled up. And I'm like, whoa. Who does that? It's not a man, right? Like this young sis is clearly in distress. He comes over, he gets all in her face. I cannot hear what he's saying because he's mumbling, right? Like he's basically intimidating her. And then I hear her screaming, get away from me, get away from me. And then he starts pushing her, right? She's already at the island bus stop. There's like this type of fixture that she's in front of. So he's pushing her and she's being knocked up against it. And then she screams, get off of me, stop pushing me. You know I'm pregnant. And I'm like, oh no, 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 no. So then I jump out of the car, right? I make sure my doors are unlocked because my car will sometimes automatically lock, but maybe it won't do that when the car's running. Anyway, but I made sure the doors were unlocked. I had already rolled down my windows because I wanted to hear what was going on. So I get out the car and then I scream at the top of my lungs. So now it sounds like I'm having a psychotic break, right? Or I'm possessed. Because when I scream like that, trust, everyone's gonna look. So everyone did look. Now, mind you, this is right by the bus stop is across from a U-Haul place, right? And it's all these men at the U-Haul. Mind you, none of the men bothered to intervene when this man's knocking this shit out of this young lady who's screaming, right, for help. So I scream, get your effing hands off of her. And then he like stops pushing her and then he like about face and now he's looking at me. And he's shocked. His eyes are as big as flashlights and he walks up to me and he's like, who the F you talking to? I'm like, I'm talking to you. I said, how dare you put your hands on that queen? Get your hands off of her. Didn't you hear her say she's pregnant? He's like, that's my BITCH. That's my BITCH. I said, get your hands off of her. And then his brother, some taller guy who was at least 6'3", who was at the bus stop too. And then now he gets in and he's like, you, who the F you talking to? Don't talk to my brother like that. It's none of your business. I said, it is my business. If he's putting his hands on a woman, that's my business. She's pregnant. He needs to leave her alone. So then the taller one comes up to me too, and he's like, you effing hoe. Boom, 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 boom. Who the F you think you are? You're just a hoe. All of y'all are hoes. That's why we treat y'all like this. Y'all don't deserve nothing. And I'm like, whoa. First of all, I had my hair wrap on that morning. So I was like, this is crazy. I'm like fully covered and he's calling me a hoe. And I was like, honey, I could never be a hoe. Like, what are you talking about? And I just told him straight up, I said, nothing you can say to me can faze me. You are a child. Any man who can sit by and let another man beat a woman can say nothing to me that can make me feel bad. So that's it. And then he was like, you need to get the F up back in your car and go on before I knock the SHIT out of you. So then at this point, I'm like this. And I'm like, run up. Run up. Because either I'm going to make it to work this morning or I'm not. Run up. But what I'm not going to do is watch you beat that woman. So this point, the dude who was beating the woman while his big brother or taller brother watched, he's talking about, oh, I'm calling my sister. I'm calling my sister right now and my TT to come and whoop your ASS. And I'm like, your TT and your sister? I'm like, okay, well, do whatever you need to do. So then I walk up to the young lady and I'm like, sis, do you need a ride anywhere? I can take you to where you need to go. And she's shivering, right? At this point, she's sitting on the island, the bus stop island, shivering, not because it's cold outside, but because she is shivering with fear. This young lady is inundated with fear. And she's just like, no, thank you. No, thank you. And I was like, ay, Dios mío, pero eso yo no puedo aguantar. And I'm like, God, please just rebuke whatever energy is all up on these young men that has this young lady so scared. So I pull out my phone at that point and I call Oakland PD emergency number. It's ringing, it's on speakerphone. And they're just talking crap to me and I'm just dealing with it and I'm just standing there like I have nothing to say to them because you cannot argue with stupidity, right? And they're possessed. Clearly they're possessed by something demonic. So I'm like, let me just get on this phone with OPD. It's just ringing, it's ringing. Then before you know it, his sister actually did roll up. So she rolled up and they got in the car, including the pregnant young lady. And so I started taking pictures. Yeah, I took pictures of all of them, including the car. And then the sister was just like, oh, why you got to take pictures of my car, though? I was like, because you're letting two men beaters get in your car. So I'm going to take pictures. And then she's like, that ain't got nothing to do with me. And I'm like, but girl, you're literally letting people who were beating this girl in your car and you're saying that has nothing to do with you, but you're coming to rescue women beaters. And I'm just like, okay, wow, this is interesting. Wow. And I told the dude, you feel me? I told him when he said he was going to get his sister and all this stuff, and he was trying to make me feel bad. I was like, you're trying to make me feel bad, and yet you're out here in public beating your girl who's pregnant, and you have her on the bus? Like, how you going to beat your woman para con todo eso ahora? How you gonna beat your woman and have her on AC transit? Like, really? I mean, that is just over the top, right? Not that if he had her in a Benz, it would be better, but it's like, come on, y'all. Like, as women, we really have to get it together. And you know, I've been in a domestic violence relationship before when I was a freshman in college. Okay, so I know what that's like. I'm not speaking from a theoretical point. And I tell you, it starts with the verbal abuse. When you have a man who's trying to minimize you and make you feel like you're lucky to have him, or he's always doing little nitpicky things to make you doubt yourself, that's the beginning. It took a whole year before the person I used to be with ever put hands on me, but I can say it did not start physical. It starts emotional, psychological, emotional, spiritual. They distance you, they make you distance yourself from your family, they make you distance yourself from your personal relationship with God. They isolate you. The devil, the enemy, operates through isolation. So this sister's out here feeling isolated. God gave her me to offer her a ride. I would have taken her anywhere. I would have brought her home with me if necessary, right? God will give you people, but when you are tricked by that enemy and that illusion of isolation, you really feel like you're a hostage because psychologically and spiritually you have been taken hostage, right? Which allows your body to follow. So anyway, they left. OPD never answered the phone. I was on hold for 30 minutes. The phone never picked up. So by the time I got to work, it was still ringing. I eventually hung up. But yeah, that just was like so deep for me to go through that on a Friday morning. Fridays are usually great days. And I'm just like, yo no sé lo que está pasando con este mundo. You know, it's like una energía de mafia, mafiosa. You know, people are angry. People are just so riled up for no reason. We are literally living in such irreligious times. No one goes to church anymore. You know, like no one's religious. No one, I mean, I know there are people religious, so don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is, there was a time when people went to church, they went to mosque, they went to temple, and it was like whole communities. Like you would see everyone going to mosque on Friday, or you'd see everyone going to temple on Sabbath or church on Sunday. It was like communities, you know, where like you were the odd person out if you stayed home, right? But we have kids who have gone their whole life now, never stepping into a church. And it's like, it's not that you have to be so religious, right? But you have to, there needs to be some type of ritual in your life where you're reminding yourself that you're living for God. You're living for the purpose of cleansing your heart, because we are living in times where like all people listen to is ratchet music. And I listen to ratchet music every now and then, so I'm not judging for that. But when you listen to it all the time, it really infiltrates your psyche. And we are having people out here in Oakland, in the Bay Area, in this world, who still feel like it's almost 2024 and people still feel like it's okay to beat women. I mean, this is worldwide. Like, we've seen what's happened in Iran with our sisters who a little bit of hair is showing, and then sexist perpetuators of violence and demonic forces want to kill a woman. Like, give me a break already. How dare you? How dare you? And like when that guy told me, he was like, "You're a hoe, y'all are all hoes. That's why we treat y'all that way." Wallahi Azim, in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so sorry for this young man. Someone abused him. Like y'all, I have worked with so many people who are survivors of abuse. I could see in that young man's eyes that he was triggered. He was triggered by me intervening. And I was like, he's mad because nobody ever spoke up to him when he was being abused as a child. I swear, that's what God put on my heart. Like, I saw it. I saw him flashing back to when he was abused and no one spoke up for him. So now he's jealous, right? So anyway, I just wanted to share that and just say, like, for any women or people, human beings who are in a domestic violence situation, get out. Do whatever you need to do to get support and accountability partner who can help you, because it is an addiction. You're addicted to that person. You're addicted to them recovering. You're addicted to this false idea of hope that one day they're going to see the value in you and treat you better. No, that's misplaced hope. You need a hope for yourself to love you. You need a hope to get back with God and restore your relationship with the Most High. Stop hoping and wasting your life for someone to love you who doesn't even love themselves, because if someone loved themselves, they would not treat you that way. And you can, that's vanity. You cannot put people before God. That's vanity, is idolatry. So you have to let that go. And women who are out here enabling other men, like that woman who came and picked them up, right? Talking about it's none of my business. No, shame on you. For other women who tell their girlfriends, oh, it's okay, girl. He'll come around. He'll love you or she'll love you. Because I know girls who were in DV relationships with other girls. Plenty. I could tell y'all heck of stories. So it is a man woman thing, but it's also people who want to adapt this idea of masculinity that's like hard, which is really hella fake, because a real alpha don't need to say anything. A real alpha man doesn't need to beat anyone. Or a real alpha personality, man or woman, doesn't need to be a bully, right? You're going to let your actions and your calmness speak for you. So, anyway, people who are like enabling toxic people like that, get right, because that's not right. And people, just love yourselves. And it's so sad. Like, I've told this story to, bless you. Oh, salud. I've told this story to 3 men, and every man was like, oh, you shouldn't have got out the car. Like, you should have just not said anything, you know? And of course, their reasoning was like, oh, you could have been shot. It's Oakland. They could have shot you. Look, I know that. I've witnessed so many things in Oakland. Like, I've witnessed so many horrible, traumatic things in Oakland, which is why I'm so committed to wanting to see better mental health outcomes, because I understand the reality that comes with living in the Bay Area. As much money as we pay to live here, it's sad because we see so many traumatic things. We pay Manhattan prices, right? To see, like Boogie Down Bronx every day, right? Like, it's just crazy the things you can see in East Oakland, West Oakland, any part of Oakland, even the lake. Y'all, they found, God forbid, they found a body in the lake in a suitcase, right? Like, it's so many evil things happening. They just found that beautiful sister who was a law student. They found her torso in a suitcase in Alameda, right? These are brilliant minds. And that was her boyfriend, who was also a law student, who did that. Like, these are smart people who are in domestic violence situations, right? And y'all, domestic violence is one of those things where everyone wants to say, oh, it's not my business. I'm going to mind my own business. Oh, really? Until what? I'm thinking of this young lady who I saw being beat at the bus stop. Like, she's going to have the baby. The guy's going to keep beating her. Hopefully she'll leave him before the baby is old enough to remember getting his mom beat, but even epigenetically speaking, that's trauma for the child in utero, in the womb, to be feeling their mother go through that. Like, her cortisol is going so high, that stress hormones that can methylate or demethylate, you feel me, a certain gene, which can then turn on a disease, you feel me? Or I don't know, it's just a lot of things that could go wrong just by being exposed to stress in utero. It's toxic. But what people need to realize is that when you grow up in trauma, or you grow up in an environment or a city that has a lot of trauma, you don't realize it, but you wind up getting addicted to stress hormones. You get addicted to cortisol. If you're not stressed, if you're not arguing, it doesn't even feel normal to you. You're bored, right? You can't focus on school. You can't focus on your job because your ADHD is like just like taking over, and you're like, I need stress. I need stress just to focus. No, that's not normal, y'all. So I'm just really begging the community for us all to step up and speak up. Obviously be careful. I don't want people to get shot. Yeah, it is dangerous, but come on, y'all, we can't all just be silent. I mean, if we're all silent, the bad guys are gonna win. They're gonna win, and it's not funny because they're taking people's souls. They're taking the minds of our youth. These youth out here is hella bad. Like, I work with young people. Y'all should read the bullying that's happening. Second graders with potty mouths, calling other girls hoes, this and that. Middle schoolers who are already sexing, like they want to be grown so bad, and their idea of grown is toxic. We got little kids listening to rappers that they should not be listening to. Sexy Red, like that's not for little children. There's no boundaries, and we need to start protecting our ghetto youth, our little beautiful youth. We need if you can't afford to move out the hood, because I know it's expensive even in the hood, that's all right, but put the neighbor back in hood. Make it a neighborhood. Don't let your children hear nasty things. And if you and your woman or you and your king are in a fight, don't argue in front of the youth. Don't 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 put toxins in their minds, and pray together, read, relax, take a walk. I have dogs. I walk in my neighborhood. I know all my neighbors. I say good morning. Even saying good morning, that creates an energy of positivity, right? I say good morning. I say good afternoon. I say God bless. Like, just be a good neighbor. Being polite is a small thing that we can do now that will go a long way, right? Isn't that right? Yeah. So, okay, thank y'all for listening. Y'all, let's really just put the positivity back in Oakland. All right, love y'all.